I was ashamed that I didn't love being pregnant right away. I felt like I was doing it wrong, especially in this body. But now I know the truth is far more complex. So today, I want to walk you through the real story of my first trimester. The symptoms, the shock, and what I wish someone had told me about being pregnant in a body like mine. Hey guys, I'm Kira. I remember taking my pregnancy test and feeling overwhelmed. If you're somebody who hasn't been living under a rock and has been on social media, you've been following pregnancy content, what we can kind of call pregnancy reveal culture. I'm sure you've come across reaction videos and just videos of people first finding out that they're pregnant. And if you're like me, you may have compared yourself to those videos or thought, oh shit, when I get pregnant, this is exactly how I should respond. I definitely fell into that trap. And this kind of set me up for a confusing experience of actually finding out that I was pregnant. I sort of felt pressure to perform in a weird way, to cry, to feel this like immense excitement and joy. And the reality is I just didn't feel that way. But I'm somebody who really values authenticity. So I'm here to talk about this, to talk about these types of experiences, the ones that people don't share on social media because maybe they're taboo or they're scared that they might be perceived a certain way. I won't lie, I have those same fears, but I know that the right people will understand what I'm here to share. So my hope is that you do your best to release any judgments you have of me or yourself and just listen with an open heart. My intention here is to help people feel seen and validated if they have had or are going to have any type of experience in pregnancy that is outside of what you see on social media. Social media can be really deceiving. It can really feed into this energy of perfectionism that a lot of us struggle with. If we continue to perpetuate that cycle on YouTube, on social media, we are going to continue to feel wrong about our very real and not so pretty experiences. But yeah, I felt this very real pressure to perform. When I saw my pregnancy test, I was shocked. That was the first emotion I felt. But I also went through a range of emotions outside of just the shock, the joy, the excitement. So if you're someone who feels something other than excitement, joy, tears, that's okay. Not everyone has this dreamy, perfect, Instagrammable reaction. Not everybody wants to be filmed in one of the most important raw moments of their lives. I'm one of those people. I don't like to feel like I am on display in moments where I just want to feel how I'm genuinely feeling. And that doesn't make my pregnancy or your pregnancy any less meaningful. So I want to take you through the real emotions that I felt after finding out that I was pregnant. I'm somebody who I have been manifesting pregnancy for several years. This year in January, I created a very in-depth vision board. And on that vision board, it's been very helpful for me to see myself physically in the experience of having a baby. That vision board really set me up to feel like being pregnant this year was possible. But once I saw that positive pregnancy test, the first thing that I felt was, holy shit. Holy shit, I can get pregnant. Like I said, I tried for probably 2 years at least intentionally to get pregnant. I was thoroughly convinced that I could not get pregnant, feeling like shit, maybe we might have to do fertility treatments. For me and my husband, that's just not an option right now financially. I'm also 33 years old and so I'm getting older and that we really need to have our first baby. We want to have multiple children. I almost didn't even test because I thought, no, there's no way I'm pregnant. A coworker of mine was like, girl, all these things you're talking about right now, those are all the things I felt when I was pregnant. My boobs were sore, like painful. Maybe TMI, but I remember I requested a piggyback ride for my husband. And the pain of my boobs on his back, I have never felt that much pain from my boobs before. So I was like, what the hell was that? That was a huge sign. Again, that I ignored, but I was like, that was fucking weird. And then feeling super nauseous. I also have an autoimmune disorder. So when I felt nausea, I just kind of chalked it up to that because it's something that I not infrequently feel. So when I tested, I was absolutely shocked. And then after the shock, there was a little bit of excitement between my husband and I, but I would say that excitement was not the primary emotion for me, especially in those beginning times. If I'm being completely honest, one of the primary emotions I felt was resentment. I really am shifting into a whole new identity. Everything in my life is now shifting from focus on me to focusing on a little one, and rightfully so. And that feeling is something that I feel like people do not talk about on the internet because they're so worried that people are going to think that they mean that they don't care about their baby. Like, obviously, my child is the most important thing on the planet to me. And that is a huge change for a human being to go through. This transition from being solely focused on yourself. What do I need? What do I want? What am I craving? What feels good for me? I've gone through such a long journey of finding myself and becoming someone who advocates for myself. And so that was such a weird shift for me in my identity. And it was probably the hardest emotion because, again, I felt shame for that. I felt like, this is terrible. I should be so excited. I should not be worried about myself right now. But I just was. And I think that's totally normal and okay. I think I started to really acknowledge and realize that my body is no longer my own. Like, for the foreseeable future, food choices are no longer my own. And not only are they not my own, but I need to be really, really careful about what I'm putting in my body. I find myself as somebody who is very cautious about what I consume anyway, but I'm a human being and I go through ebbs and flows in life. And then the first few weeks I was Googling everything because I was so terrified that I was going to consume something that was going to create like some wild neurological disorder in my baby or was going to kill them. You really worry a lot in the first trimester that you're going to have a miscarriage because there's so much content all over the internet that makes it seem like everybody is inevitably going to have a miscarriage. So the fear was huge. Another thing I was really fearful of more towards the second half of my first trimester was just how all of my own shit, my fears, my unresolved trauma, just the shit I need to work on within myself and how that is going to impact my child. Something I'm really focused on to make sure that I'm operating as healthy as I can for my child. Another thing that was interesting on the note of feeling these uncomfortable emotions that people don't talk about was the cognitive dissonance, the dread, the shame of I shouldn't be feeling these negative emotions. I should only be excited and grateful because I have tried for so long for a baby. The shoulds have got to go. We are whole humans and we're gonna feel the entire range of emotions. During the first trimester, it can be really hard to feel excited because you hear about this danger zone. You're so concerned that you might lose this baby and you don't want to celebrate because you're worried that if you celebrate and you get too excited and then lose the baby, you've just made that grief so much worse for yourself. If you're feeling that way, you're so normal. There's a lot of people who feel that way during the first trimester. I remember seeing some of my friends or people on social media announcing their pregnancy during the first trimester and my heart just sunk because I'm like, should I be announcing my pregnancy this early? But also, what if I lose the baby was a thought that continued to permeate in my mind over and over throughout this chapter. And it wasn't until we had multiple ultrasounds and the doctor said everything looks good multiple times. I've had several blood tests and appointments where I started to be like, okay, this is real. I am nearing the end of this trimester. I'm out of the quote danger zone. Now I can really feel excited. I wish I could have felt more excited at the beginning, but to me it just felt so out of reach given all of the what ifs. Okay, I want to move on to symptoms that I felt. I did discuss this a little bit, just like the symptoms that told me I was pregnant, but I kind of want to dive deeper into the symptoms that permeated throughout the first trimester. It's so funny that people say morning sickness because it's not morning sickness. It's all fucking day sickness, for me at least. From the second I rolled out of bed, I would feel nausea so intensely when I'd be sitting in my morning chair doing my meditation. I'd be done with it and I'm like, I cannot do anything other than lay here and feel bad for myself for the first however long. I would do that until the very last second I had to get ready for work. I would get up, scramble, hurry up, get out the door, go to work, and feel nausea all day long. The only thing that would help with that nausea was having a piece of sourdough toast and taking a little bite here and there. It would help the nausea reduce a bit. But I always had 3 different degrees of nausea. Degree 1 is it's there, but I can deal. Degree 2 is like I feel like shit and I'm kind of annoyed about it. Degree 3 is like I literally cannot do anything. I'm gonna lay here in a pile and blob all day long because I feel like absolute dog shit. So yeah, that was kind of my nausea journey. Towards the end of this first trimester, I'm currently less than a week beyond the first trimester. In the last few weeks, the nausea started to taper off. Maybe 1 or 2 days a week, but it was that level 1, maybe level 2 for a small part of the day. It was like a few days per week versus 7 days a week. During those first few months, the beginning chapter, it was absolutely brutal. Next thing I want to discuss in terms of physical symptoms was the naps, dude. The naps. Okay, when I tell you that I had to nap every single day, that is no joke. I work in a restaurant right now. Not an ideal work situation for me, but it is what it is. For my routine throughout the first trimester was essentially my body would just kind of wake me up naturally feeling alert. And then about an hour later, if I had given myself a few hours before work, I would have to nap. Like a morning nap 1 hour after I woke up feeling alert and fully rested. Weird, I know. If I did not have time for that nap, I'd go to work, I'd come home, and I would have to get a nap in when I came home. That nap would usually last about an hour and a half, sometimes up to 3 hours. Days off, laying around, lounging, watching TV, in and out of sleep throughout the day. Lucky if I even got a walk in. This is embarrassing to admit, but it's just how it went for me. How I knew I was kind of getting out of that first trimester is I started feeling like I could go for a walk. Oh my gosh, I could do a little workout. So that has felt so exciting, knowing that I can do something to be helpful to my physical body again. Okay, another symptom was hip and pelvis pain. Towards the latter part of the first trimester, I started feeling, I think what they call round ligament pain. Just these pains under the bottom of my belly, around my pelvis area, like shooting pains. If I got up quickly, it would feel like a cramp and I'd have to double over, and sometimes it would last multiple minutes. These things I'm talking about right now, these physical symptoms, are things I still struggle with. Another thing was just this hip, not pain, but like, I don't know how to explain this. I stretch my hips a lot. And I remember feeling almost immediately when I got pregnant, if I got into where you have your legs like a V and then you're stretching side to side, it felt like if I went too deep into the stretch, it was not good. So I felt like, okay, I need to be more gentle in my stretching. However, the most excruciating physical symptom that I felt was what I think is sciatic pain. And I'm still struggling with this. I pray to God it doesn't get insane as I get bigger. I've had this knot in my left butt cheek. My right butt cheek is tight too, but my left butt cheek, it's so painful, and it gets worse when I walk, but it gets even worse when I'm sitting for too long. So that's confusing. I'm like, okay, do I walk it out? Does walking make it better or worse? Does sitting make it better or worse? I have an inclination sitting will make it worse. That's typically how it goes with low back and butt pain. In my experience, I've had a low back injury. Usually when you get pains around that area, you need to stretch and you have a lot of tension in your booty cheeks and hips. I did a lot of stretching. I looked into sciatic videos. I would roll on a kinesiology ball, and when I was watching these videos on sciatica, they were saying like, well, that could make it worse because it's a nerve that's upset. You need to do very gentle movements on the butt cheek. What I have found to be helpful with that one is stretching. I can't think of any yoga pose names all of a sudden, but the one where you have your leg like this and you're laying on it, like before I have a big belly, that has been really helpful to me. I don't know if it's called figure 4, but stuff like that where you're stretching out your like sides of your butt and your hips and like the insides of your hips. I'm no expert on this stuff. I just have been stretching for years and following other people's content and videos. Do your own research, but that's my version of an explanation of what you can do to help. I'd say to describe the symptoms of the first trimester, your body just has a mind of its own, and it could be nothing like who and how you really are outside of pregnancy. It's absolutely wild. Another funny thing is food aversions. I'm somebody who's always loved sweets, and when I tell you sweets made me feel like I was going to projectile vomit, it was insane. Like from the moment I found out I was pregnant, it was literally day one. I remember we were at an Italian restaurant celebrating my husband's birthday, and my husband and I, gelato stands, big time gelato stands, like real homemade gelato. And I remember we got dinner. Another thing that's weird, I wasn't very hungry. Like I couldn't eat a nice chunky big meal. I felt like I just needed like small bites. And afterwards, my husband's like, you know what, I'm not really feeling gelato. And I was like, you know what, me either. And we skipped dessert. When I tell you, I think that's the first time we've ever skipped dessert at an Italian restaurant. Wild, absolutely wild. Like that groundbreaking moment. There's so many things. Like I love a good Olipop, and my favorite flavors are like cherry cola, Dr. Pepper dupe, whatever you call it. I could not stand the smell or the taste of a dark soda-esque beverage. If I had anything of that sort, it would be like the lighter kinds, like the Sprite knockoff, which I used to hate. Just weird. In general, I just didn't care for anything sweet. My palate was that of a toddler. We're talking chicken nuggies and fries, burger without a bun because I couldn't afford the full tummy of the bun. Veggies, ew, gross. And I'm somebody who makes sure I get my fiber and my nutrients with veggies. I get those with damn near every single meal and could not be bothered to eat anything that grew out of the ground. Insane. Nothing spicy, not even the vaguest bit of spice. Not like me. I love a good spice. The first trimester was just completely unhinged. I wanted nothing but bland toddler foods, and that was that. Okay, moving on. Things that shocked me. One thing that I found crazy was I immediately, probably 10 minutes after taking my test, I called the doctor and was like, hello, I'm pregnant. I just found out I just took a test and I need to schedule an appointment. Like, what do we do? I was kind of thrown off by the response of the person I talked to. Everybody has a bad day, who knows, but this chick was just like, okay. Basically like, who cares? And I was just like, wow, this is the craziest moment of my life, and you are acting like it ain't no big thing, and it's a big ass thing. So that was weird. I was probably taking it way too personal, but she basically told me, okay, you're only 6 weeks along. We won't be seeing you until you are 9 weeks along. I could not fathom the idea of waiting until I was 9 weeks pregnant just for you to confirm that I'm pregnant, to go weeks after you find out until someone can be like, yes, you're pregnant. It's all good. Here's some pointers, you know, some like little details, like don't eat this, don't take hot showers. I don't know. Tell me some shit. I want to know what I should or should not do, how I should show up. You just don't know. You don't know what you don't know. And the fact that they were just kind of so nonchalant and were like, all right, we'll see you in weeks. I was so thrown off by that. My anxiety was running rampant during this time. Another thing that kind of shocked me, I was expecting, unrealistically, might I add, to have a cute little bump much quicker than I did. But truly, throughout the entire first trimester, and even questionably like right now, moving into my second, I still just kind of feel bloated, overweight, kind of gross. There's a lot of gas, lots of gas. There's struggle to poop. I'd like to pride myself on being a very regular pooper. First thing in the morning, feels good, looks good, smells good. Yeah, that's not been the case. If the poop talk is too TMI, I'm so sorry, but I am who I am. Okay, on a more serious note, another thing that surprised me was the genuine lack of representation of people that looked like me. I got a little bit of a tummy, like naturally. I've got hips. I don't have this perfect shape that you see on social media, and I didn't realize until I got pregnant and I started looking for content to relate to that 99.9% of the content out there is representing bodies that are thin and they just have a bump. Truly, all you see is baby belly. And I was not ready for how that was going to make me feel as somebody who already has a tummy before I'm pregnant, already has some hips, I already have thick thighs, I have fat that doesn't look super desirable, if I'm being candid. I already have a body that I struggle to dress, that feels uncomfortable to show on camera. To be honest, I've started a YouTube channel before. I've started this YouTube channel before, and the amount of times I've started and stopped things because of the way that I looked on camera is a little bit embarrassing to admit. That has hands down been the hardest part mentally of this experience. Just seeing on social media women who do not look like me projecting an experience that I'm not having. For example, one big feeling that I felt when I look in the mirror, I'm like, is that my pregnant tummy or is that just like my regular tummy? How do I know when I'm gonna have a bump? How will I be able to distinguish it when the bump is little? Right now, I feel like I have a bump. Also, honestly, who cares? But like all of these milestones that people celebrate on social media, like, oh, look at the bump at this stage, at this stage, at this stage. When I'm looking at my belly, I'm almost ashamed to take photos of it because I feel like that's just my belly. That's not a bump. So if you feel that way, I see you, girl. I'm totally there with you. Also though, something I'm starting to evolve into is this is my body, right? I'm not here to have that body. And also, I have a very unique experience. I have more of a depth and authenticity in this body because I'm not able to project this image of fakeness, at least me personally, on social media. Unless I'm completely hiding myself, that's just not possible for me. I have a different experience than those people who can just show up, look cute, and be like, everything's perfect, everything's great. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's just how I'm feeling. If you are scrolling social media looking for people that look like you and you're like, well, this is embarrassing. I don't deserve to take photos of myself. I don't deserve to document my experience. I call bullshit on your ass because I am you. And we need to celebrate our body and where we are at, our unique experience, because the bottom line is this is an amazing thing, like a truly fucking incredible thing that our body is doing right now. It is growing life, and that is the most important thing that we need to focus on right now. And our body, our bigger, more full body is beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful as it is. The only reason that we feel sometimes that it's not is because we're constantly comparing ourselves to what so many people in society project as this like perfect image of what you should look like, and that is not it. There are so many aspects of our culture that create these bodies. There's emotions involved. There is disordered patterns of eating and consuming. There is shame. There is environmental toxins. Like, dude, the amount of shit that we are fed physically and through our culture, it is no wonder that we feel shame in our bodies, but also that this culture has helped us create these bodies. I'm obviously on my soapbox with this one, but this is something I think that is so important. If you're someone that's following me, I hope that you found me because you relate to me in this way. We need to be in this thing together, whether you're pregnant or not. Our bodies have gotten us so far, and we need to be grateful for them. We need to love them. We need to look at them and find beautiful things about them. And that is the only way that we're ever going to fall in love with ourselves. And if we want to create change, that's the only way we're going to do it, at least sustainably. It would not be me if I didn't bring everything full circle and tie it into my worldview and the way that I see life through this sort of spiritual lens. If I could tell myself one thing when I first got pregnant, it would be to trust. Just trust. I don't find myself as a religious person, but I do believe in God and the divine plan. No matter what your story is, no matter what my story is, no matter the outcomes of all of this, think about all of the what ifs, all the potentials. Like, no matter any of that, it's all part of your and my divine plan, truly. I believe that in my heart and in my soul. No amount of worry, freak out, anxiety is going to stop the divine plan, and you don't want it to stop because the divine plan is meant to beautifully unfold for you, for me, for us, right? And so I just want to celebrate you. If you've conceived, that alone is something to celebrate and to be joyful of. I feel that in my heart when I was struggling to accept, like, oh, what if I miscarry? It seems like everybody's miscarrying. My husband kept saying, okay, if you miscarry, you know you can conceive because you did it already. That was such a powerful shift for me that hopefully can offer you some value. If you are someone who's experienced miscarriage, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge you. Maybe you've miscarried before and you got pregnant again and you have this deeply rooted fear of loss again. Maybe there's this entanglement of grief. I just want to reiterate that you are here on purpose. This beautiful life has been planted within you again on purpose. This is all divine. It is all part of your story, your plan. It is part of what's meant for you. And it's all here to help you learn more about yourself and to share your gifts with the world, to build resilience within you, to help you learn more deeply about yourself and to share that with the world. If there's one thing this chapter has taught me the most, it is to be patient, to trust the divine plan, even when it feels chaotic. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.